Morning, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all doing okay today. So, I was listening to an automotive podcast. This guy was talking about some things that are likely to become standard equipment in the next decade via government mandate. Not really wanting to talk about that in general, but those pieces of equipment specific, but more broadly speaking. So a couple days ago I was on Facebook and someone was reading me the riot act on why some politicians are scum of the earth and why some are saints sent from heaven, and that, well, back in my day you could afford to buy a brand new car while working a minimum wage job in the 60s. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, that cars have gotten crazy expensive and houses have gotten crazy expensive, and on and on. I digress. So I decided to do a little bit of digging into the issue. And I'm pretty doggone familiar with cars in a broad sense, as far as, you know, what you get for your money. You know, I used to work at a dealership a few years ago. I realized the market's changed a lot since then, but I keep up with stuff. And I'm a huge fan of most things automotive anyway, so it's stuff I pay attention to. Well, anyway, so back in, I think it was like 1960, the cost of the average new car was like $2,700. And when you adjust that for inflation, that comes out to be about $25,000 in today's money. So, sure, it's nowhere near the cost of the average new car, but it is there. It's in the new car market, price-wise. And then I got thinking about what you got for your money on the average new car back in the 1960s. Specifically, I had to look it up like a specific year, so I looked up 1960. But your average new car probably didn't have power windows, locks, mirrors. I don't think power seats were a thing. You probably didn't get air conditioning. And you probably only got an AM radio. Now, fast forward, I looked up the cost of the average new car because everything went crazy in 2020 and especially in 2021 due to the semiconductor shortage. So it's a very outlying year, and I don't know if the market's going to stabilize back around where it was, what's going to happen. So I used 2019. But in 2019, the cost of the average new car was $37,000. And you get a lot for your money. Look at what I spent back in 2018 and what I got for my money. I bought a brand new Ford Focus SE 1 liter. Oh, also, I didn't even think to mention the emissions comparatively, or the fuel mileage comparatively between the two. So my little Focus gets currently sitting at 38 to the gallon, and my wife just drove it yesterday, and she does not know how to get fuel mileage out of this thing. I normally average between 37 and 40 to the gallon indicated when I drive it, and that I've tested, and that gauge is off by somewhere around, it's within 10% either way. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 airbags in this car. It's a very safe little car for something its size. I have AC heat, Bluetooth cruise, power windows, locks, mirrors, dual zone climate control, AM, FM, no CD, oddly enough, backup camera, and it's the year that it was made, it was like the most green car that Ford made that wasn't a hybrid. So fairly decent value for money as far as what you got. And I only paid $22,000 for it. And also I had another car that wasn't quite paid off, so that guy got rolled in there, unfortunately. So $20,000 to $22,000. I think it was like 21 and change sticker, and I do get some discounts being a Ford employee. So yeah. And then I've done a little research on Google and around some websites. The average home size as far as new construction has gone up. New construction single family homes. The square footage has shot up by a few hundred square feet. The number of bedrooms has increased. The number of bathrooms has increased. And on top of that, you're getting more features in the home, and better stuff is standard. What I mean by that is, okay, sure, you could get air conditioning in a house in the 60s. But now you're getting high energy efficiency air conditioning units that use a small fraction of the energy to heat or cool a house. You're getting better plumbing by a long shot in the house. So there's a lot of things that you're getting that are just better. I'm sorry, folks. Ragweed is up and my allergies are killing me. I'll rest my case. So, sure, inflation's a thing, but when you consider what you get for your money compared to the 60s, but the closest person I know that bought the average price car, a buddy of mine, very recently, bought a 2021 Ford Explorer XLT 4-wheel drive, EcoBoost with the 2.3. It, on the highway, he had to take it to Michigan recently. He gets 26, 28 miles a gallon on the highway at 70, 75. And it has room for 6. He didn't get it equipped with the 7-seat option because he wanted more comfortable captain's chairs in the second row. It has a 5,000-pound towing capacity. It has most creature comfort options you can think of, with the exception of the cooled seats. It has pre-collision avoidance. Basically, the car will hit the brakes for you if it thinks that you're about to rear end somebody. And one time I was riding with him, and this actually came to life. I didn't think he was about to hit somebody, because as soon as he says, "Whoa, look at that guy," and is covering the brake pedal, the whole dash lit up bright red, and it started screeching and beeping at him, and before he could put his foot on the brake, we're pinned against our seat belts. So that was fun. But one thing that I wanted to mention in all this is some of the stuff about modern cars and about modern homes is government mandated. I'm not advocating for this at all, but if, most people want to have a safe car. But if safety equipment wasn't government mandated into your vehicle, and you could buy a car that was unreasonably dangerous, say, how much cheaper would it be? Because they don't have to engineer crumple zones, they don't have to put airbags in it and engineer and design them and build them and pay someone to install them, and on and on and on and on, all that list goes. There would be a discount to that car. Same for the emission systems. I remember when I worked at the dealership, the one time we had to replace a catalytic converter, I remember seeing what they cost for the part was somewhere around, now it does vary depending upon the vehicle. Heavier duty vehicles are going to have bigger cats. Actually, there were 2 times that we replaced factory cats. One was on a mid-size sedan, one was on a subcompact sedan. Both of them were right in the $1,000 range. The mid-size sedan, I think it was like $1,200, and the compact would have been about $9, or the subcompact would have been about $9. Could have got that discounted off the cost of a new car, and that's not counting paying to ship that part to the factory en masse and paying someone to build it and all that stuff. So if they didn't have catalytic converters, probably about $1,000 to $2,000 off sticker price. I'm not advocating for removing catalytic converters from vehicles as factory OE equipment, but something to consider. All the safety equipment, I've been in a handful of wrecks since I've been around, some driving, some not. And I'm definitely not advocating for more dangerous cars in that perspective, but you're paying to get something that you're more likely to survive a car crash in today's cars versus yesterday's cars. One of the things I watched one time was the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety video. They crashed, and this was painful to watch, a classic Chevrolet Impala into a car that was 50 years newer Chevrolet Impala. Sure, everything on that Impala was made of metal, but none of it was designed. You didn't have front structures that were energy absorbing, and you didn't have rear structures that were a safety cage, essentially. So that newer Impala, the front end crumpled up, and then once it got in towards the passenger cabin, it stiffened up rapidly, and there was what's called in the industry survival room. Basically, any part of the car that gets wrecked, you want it to deform up to the point that it gets to the passenger cabin, then you want it to stiffen up to give the occupants room to live. Well, there was a little bit of footwell intrusion, essentially meaning, depending on how tall the person was that was sitting there, what seating position they were using, etc., etc., they may have had a broken foot, broken ankle, broken leg. May have. There's a likelihood of it, but not guaranteed. But good chance you'd be okay. The Impala, the steering wheel was somewhere between where it was originally positioned and the driver's headrest, and the whole front of the car up to the dash was deformed, and the dash was, whoa, buddy, run that red light. The dash was pushed back towards the passengers. It was ugly. So, you know, newer things, you know, classic cars, the only way that they're better is they're just so cool to look at, unless you do a full resto rod. And I had that discussion out with this guy on Facebook. But anyway, kind of what's on my mind today, folks. Y'all take care. Thanks for tuning in.